Hello! We are finally here talking about a thing that I've been wanting to talk about for a few days, and I feel comfortable talking about it now since it is out on digital. Sonic 3! The amazing movie that it is. I saw Sonic 3 around Christmas time, and I have been wanting to talk about it, but it's been a mixture of I wanted to do a few different things. Also, my internet, I think, just went out, so I'm hoping it doesn't affect OBS at all. So, there's that. No, I think it's just, okay, I think it's just my stuff's lagging. It's fine. But, that being said, I am very excited to talk about this because this is going to be as spoiler-free as I can make it. Which could be very hard because a lot of things I want to talk about are somewhat tied to kind of spoiler territory. I'm going to try and keep all the spoilers towards the end, so if you want my general thoughts, I'm going to talk about that first, and then if you want to come back once you've seen the movie, whether it's on digital or in theaters, if it's still available in theaters for you, because some theaters still show it. Overall thoughts, number one is, this is a significant step up from Sonic 1 and 2. My biggest complaint from Sonic 1 and 2 wasn't even necessarily a bad complaint, it was just a complaint that I felt like they really would have improved upon in Sonic 2, but they didn't, was the human characters in Sonic 3, as opposed to 2, are very much sidelined. They aren't completely irrelevant. They are relevant to the story, especially involving the Robotniks and Shadow. But in terms of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, they are almost entirely irrelevant, other than, like, Act 3's kind of build-up, like the ending of Act 2 going to Act 3's story. Basically giving motivation for the final act and what happens. And overall, I think it is a significantly better movie than 1 and 2. I think all three are great. I think they're all solid movies, and I think video game movies are even better because they're not super referential, but they're like little, hey, here's a little thing for the video game people, here's another little thing. Sonic 3 just said, screw it, let's just have, if you've watched this far, you're a person who's watching video games, or plays video games, or at least knows of video games. You're watching a video game movie, let's strew in a whole bunch of references. I won't say what song makes a full proper appearance, but we do get a little acoustic rendition towards the beginning of the movie of Live and Learn, played on acoustic guitar. And I didn't catch it watching the movie. I had to watch a video back talking about it, and I had to listen to it. It's a very subtle Live and Learn motif, but you can hear it if you know what to listen to. Shadow, overall as a character, I think was absolutely perfect. Keanu did an amazing job, and I know a lot of people are has to be like, why do you cast a Keanu as Shadow? But, like, any other... I really can't think of any other actor that kind of fit that. Because he's got this grovel to him, he's got this, like... Not necessarily this, like, tough guy persona like Keanu doesn't have. Like, Keanu's an amazing guy. He seems like... He seems the type of person that if you offered, like, hey, can I hug you? He'd say, sure. And then just let you hug him. But he does radiate this, like, tough guy energy, especially when it comes to playing Shadow, and I love that. Shadow is an amazing character, and I was very worried that Keanu was gonna kind of not Chris Pratt his way into making it good. No, he found this role, did as much as he could with the character, and then just took off. Amazing casting by the team. Ben Schwartz was amazing as Sonic as always. Colleen did amazing. I'm only calling her Colleen because I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Tales of the V8 did amazing. Idris Elba made Knuckles somehow even more of a funny character, while still keeping him serious at times. We even got an interview saying, like, what's your favorite Knuckles one-liner? It's just, no. And I'm just like, yeah. The way Knuckles says no, Idris Elba's Knuckles says no, does get a good giggle out of me every single time. It's just, no. The human characters, and I feel bad I never remember their names. I just call them by what the Sonic team calls them. Donut Lord, I know his name's Tom because thankfully they're kind of drilled that in a little bit better. And Pretzel Lady are significant. While they aren't in the movie as much, they are the best parts of the human stories because they're still very funny. We do get a lot more Robotnik stuff, and Jim Carrey, good lord, get this man an Oscar, or get him some form of award, because he knows how to play a character that is as, not twisted, but is as robust and interesting as Robotnik. Especially when he's playing two of them. I think Gerald Robotnik was such an interesting addition. I knew it was coming as Shadow, but like, they actually took the route of going down the true Sonic Adventure 2 storyline in terms of loosely bringing characters like that in. And Jim Carrey nailed it. Like, generally speaking, Gerald is an awful person. And throughout the entire movie, I'm sitting here like, Gerald's got some form of secret plan to make all of this his. And I won't spoil anything like that, but it's like, I don't trust Gerald at all. Especially now that Ivo and Gerald are kind of one-on-one, buddy-buddy, especially, they're families, of course they are. But it's like, I don't trust him at all. I don't trust Iva Robotnik, who's normal Eggman if you didn't know. I trust Gerald even less. And yeah, I'm gonna start getting into slightly spoilery territory in terms of like some jokes that were in the movie. There's one scene where they're in Tokyo after basically encountering Shadow for the first time, and they said we need to find somewhere discreet that no one will find us, and they cut immediately to a Chow Garden, which was absolutely amazing because it just goes the contrast of, we just fought this like ultimate life form type alien thing that looks like Sonic, but he's not Sonic and he's different, he's more powerful, and then Chow Garden. it's not necessarily tonal whiplash, it's just comedic timing where the timing is like instant. I don't really know how to describe it other than just like a shift in tone, just instant. Like, it is a tonal shift. And it is effectively tonal whiplash, but it's not in a way that's ruining the movie. It's, you just had the super stressful sequence that was all action-packed, and now it's, okay, Chow Garden time. And I love it. It was very fun. That's going to be followed by a character wearing with a motorcycle helmet and all that kind of showing up. And there's a line that Knuckles says, and the delivery is more or less what got me. It's Agent Stone, if you didn't know, because Agent Stone is an amazing character, and I absolutely love him. He's the best thing that came out of these movies. And Knuckles, the first time he takes the helmet off, is, "It's the goat milker!" And for some reason, the delivery of that, the way he says it, is just, it breaks me every time. But, that entire sequence, kind of leading up to the big reveal of, Gerald, does help, because Ivo is kind of neutral at this point. Because he's presumed dead. But up until the point where Gerald gets introduced, he is very neutral, kind of. He's only really there to find out why his egg robots are doing things he's not commanding him to do, more or less. There's also a scene with, I believe it's Shadow, Stone, and the Robotniks, or at least the Stone and Shadow, where they're watching, because earlier when Ivo first gets reintroduced, when Robotnik first comes back, he's watching a soap opera. And Shadow's watching the same soap opera, and there's a bunch of Latinos and Latinas in it. And I'm just like, are they gonna make Shadow liking Latinas canon? And they did. They did. They made the joke of Shadow being loving Latinos and Latinas very much canon, and I absolutely love it. In fact, Shadow as a character, I think is not very one-dimensional. He is probably the most in-depth character that they did, and my main worry going into Sonic 3 was, if they're making Shadow the main villain, they have to set up so much backstory for this character, because his backstory involving Maria and everything involving him that you kind of learn in Shadow the Hedgehog really can screw that up, but they played it safe. It just went with Sonic Adventure 2 storyline. Just SA2s. And it was amazing. Because SA2 is the best way of introducing Shadow. and I will stand by it to the day I die. Shadow the Hedgehog is supplementary and adds more to his backstory. If you know, you know. Same with Shadow Generations. But there's one criticism I have of this movie, and that is we did not get to see enough of. I feel like the Act 3 landed a little bit too quick, ended a little too quickly. And this is where I'm going to start to get into more things that are referential, that also are referenced in, that kind of add more context if you've watched Sonic 1, 2, and Knuckles. I've watched Knuckles once already. There is one thing that kind of sets up, that is basically kind of set up from Knuckles, and it's really not super serious, and it's sort of, again, there's 3 acts. There's, like, the introduction, kind of setting up everything. Act 2 is when Gerald gets... beginning of Act 2, I'd say, is when Gerald gets introduced. And then Act 3 is basically where something happens, and then... basically, they do a raid on Gun's headquarters, and that's, like, the result of that raid is what leads into Act 3. Act 3 feels significantly short, given what happens. But at the same time, there's enough in there that realizing, yeah, this is a good chunk of the movie. But there's a scene in the middle of Act 2 that is referenced, that is basically the reason why Knuckles exists or the Knuckles show exists, and that's basically him using his wild flames to basically break into Gun headquarters by flying like a rocket into a glass window. Break glass in case of emergency. If you know if you know, you know. And he also uses the as is described in the Knuckles show, the flames of disaster. In that exact scene, at least it is very much supposed to be in that scene. And there's a lot that happens during that sequence that is very comedic and also very serious, and I love it. The only real problem I have is that... The only real problem that I have is I feel like they had a lot more opportunities to make more tongue-in-cheek references, and they either didn't, or they did, and it's so subtle it's a blink and you miss it type thing. Some very obvious references that made me very happy was, in the beginning, there's effectively a little race. We've seen clips of it before the movie came out, where Sonic is racing Tails and Knuckles. At the very end, when Sonic hits the goal, he hits a signpost and it spins like Sonic 1 and 2, and I believe Sonic 3. Like, it's effectively meant to be the goalpost that you get at the end of every single Sonic level in the early Sonic games. But then, there's also, again, there's the live and learn motif that happens at the beginning of the movie with Shadow. But then after that, there's really not much else up until that point. Obviously, you have the Chow Garden, you have just a lot, but there's not really much in Act 2 other than Gerald, really, and kind of setting up Shadow's motivation to do why he does things he does. Act 3, though, is where they really hammer it in. And I know in Act 2, leading up to the raid on Gun, there is an escape from the city-esque motif, which I feel like I wish they just kind of put it in there, but it's so fun. Act 3 is where it's hard to talk about without mentioning spoilers. So from this point onward, it is going to be heavy spoiler territory. But before you click off, or before you do anything else, maybe go watch the movie, here are my general thoughts. Just summarize it if you want to basically hear it without any spoilers, and you don't want to continue on. Sonic 3 is the greatest movie that came out in 2024, with a very close second being Transformers 1, and I highly recommend watching it, all 3 movies, and maybe Knuckles if you want to, because they are an absolute joy to watch, and I think they're some of the best video game movies ever made, and I'm excited to see where Sonic 4 takes us in 2027. And I am really excited to see more, and I really hope we can get some of these characters I really hope we can get to see these characters recognized in some form of actual award show that isn't the Game Awards. Now that we're about halfway through this footage, time to talk spoiler time. And it's mainly going to be about Act 3. Because Act 3 has a lot going on. Act 3 starts off with the fact that Sonic has, unfortunately, become filled with rage due to the fact that Tails effectively made devices that allowed Tom and Pretzel Lady, who again I forget the name of. Oh, it's Maddie. I remember the clip. Tom and Maddie to disguise themselves as people who work at Gun. One of those things happened to be the general that ordered the initial raid, that ordered the initial decommissioning of the bunker that Sonic and Maria lived, thus causing Maria to die. That general obviously made Shadow angry. Tom was disguised as that general, so Shadow punched him, thus making him severely injured. His fate at that point unknown. Sonic, filled with rage, decides to confront Knuckles because he needs to go supersonic. Knuckles has hit the Master Emerald with a powerful Guardian. That powerful Guardian is Wade. And basically, Sonic goes supersonic and goes immediately after Shadow and the Robotniks, who have taken off in effectively a space super weapon, I believe called... I'm gonna look this up before I misquote it, but I know it is a really big super weapon. I would call it the Piss Beam, but they don't make that joke. Eclipse Cannon. Thank you, that's what it's called. The Eclipse Cannon, which is effectively a giant laser that is powered off of chaos energy. Which, if you don't know, that's what. If you ever see Shadow move, that red burst of energy that he emits is chaos energy. And it's taken off, it is in space, and it is basically primed to fire at the Earth. What Ivo Robotnik doesn't know is this weapon is meant to vaporize everything in a small solar system radius, meaning when it fires and goes off, it would destroy Earth, the entire solar system, and the Eclipse Cannon itself. It is basically meant to be a one-and-done type thing. Sonic, filled with rage, goes up into space to confront Shadow and the Robotniks, basically single-handedly trying to go after specifically Shadow. He does so, launching him back down to... basically launching him to the Earth. However, Shadow, after one hit, knocks the Supersonic out of him, thus causing the Chaos Emeralds, not the Master Emerald, the Chaos Emeralds, to be outside of his body, because they kind of absorb them. But the Emeralds are now loose. Sonic and Shadow basically die for them, and we get Super Shadow. I think the introduction of Super Shadow and them keeping it very hush-hush was the greatest thing they could have done, because my jaw hit the floor. And I know I basically told you a lot of the movie there. Again, we're in the spoiler territory. I'm going to talk about more specific stuff, and obviously you've watched the movie if you haven't already. But Super Shadow's introduction was amazing, because we just... intrinsically, Shadow was able to at least put up with Supersonic. He was able to at least deal with him. Super Shadow is leagues above Sonic at this point. And we effectively do get a lot more of a fight between the two, eventually leading to them talking and realizing that this thirst for revenge isn't right, and they have a bigger thing to deal with, and they basically go after the Robotniks, who have been fighting each other since Gerald revealed that he's taking everyone with him. Thankfully, Sonic and Shadow stop the laser from firing. However, the chaos energy is unstable, and the reactor is about to explode. We then get, as Shadow is pushing the ship away, because Gerald has died. He basically has been vaporized into the chaos energy. As it's being pushed away, we get the infamous Eggman announcement. And no, it's not calling Shadow names. It is basically a single message to Agent Stone, basically saying, like, hey, you were a great friend, but I'm doing this to save the world type of thing. And overall, I think that was a really good ending for... I think that was a very, very good and satisfying ending for Robotnik. Because I wouldn't have had it any other way when it comes to Robotnik's story. Especially since Robotnik is a character that can always come back. Not necessarily saying that in the sense of, oh, he's going to be coming back for Sonic 4. It's more or less like they have the ability to bring him back if necessary, and I feel like no matter what happens, no matter what happens, it's going to be mainly going to be things that are going to be beneficial for the story moving forward, especially when it comes to what comes next. As for more specifics, we have something very, very special that happened during the post-credits scene. This is where I'm going to give you one final warning. If you have not seen the movie, and you plan on going to see the movie, stick around for the post-credits scene, because this is going to be the one thing I'm going to straight up say, if you have not seen it, go watch it. It is basically Sonic running around in the woods, effectively doing the race from the beginning of the movie again, except he's kind of doing it as more of a lesser practice run. However, this time, he has seemingly gone off track, and he is basically in New York, as according to what a sign says. Shortly after, something falls from the sky, making a crater. What rises is Metal Sonic. And then, basically, as Metal Sonic is there, he tries to take a shot at Sonic, misses, and then says, if you're going to try and hit you the fastest thing in the universe, try not to miss. Then more of them end up coming in. Because we all know that Metal Sonic's whole reason why he doesn't die is because there's multiple copies of him. Right as they're all about to shoot at him and fire, all the Metal Sonics get attacked by something. They all get attacked by a giant, basically rubber mallet. Once they're all destroyed, Sonic immediately looks up at the person who threw it and basically caught it and said, "Who are you?" The hooded figure takes their hood off. It is Amy. Meaning Sonic 4 will have Amy and the introduction of the fourth member of Team Sonic. And I am so excited to say that I called it 50% of the way. Because I had a feeling the post-credit scene of Sonic 3 was going to have Metal Sonic. I was not expecting to see Amy, but I will accept that because Amy is an amazing character, and I truly, truly think that we are in for a treat when Sonic 4 comes out in 2027. March 18th, 2027, if you're curious. That being said, more spoiler-related stuff from the beginning, from Act 3. During Act 3, we hear a full rendition of Live and Learn. It is not by Crush 40, unfortunately. However, I know there's been weird legal issues going on with Crush 40, so I'm assuming that's why they couldn't use that original version. However, I'm hoping that legal reasons do get resolved, because I do think a lot of Crush 40's music is amazing, and I do think they should get the money that they deserve for working on that. As well as other things are... there's obviously the clip that's been floating around of the amazing dance sequence between the two Robotniks. I think that, while it was very out of place, was so warranted, because that is just peak Jim Carrey. Doing something as stupid as a dance number while being attacked by effectively lasers that were supposed to vaporize you. That's pretty Jim Carrey. Other things that I want to bring up that are more minor, but are still kind of spoilery, is the scene that was effectively the trailer sequence that involved You're a Colorful Bunch is one of the first scenes you get in the movie. Not the first scene, but it's like the first real scene we have with all of them together, which is kind of implied thanks to the actual scene itself. But immediately following that, Sonic chases after Shadow on his iconic bike, and we may have seen it in a single shot of the trailer. He does the Akira slide. He doesn't do that on the ground. He does that on the side of a building. It was the coolest thing ever, because I was not expecting it. It was so cool. And I honestly think that, again, if we're gonna have... I really hope we do get a Shadow series that either that is effectively like the Shadow the Hedgehog storyline, in a way. Because Shadow and Keanu did an amazing job, and I really want to see him do more. Like, I want more Keanu. I want more Keanu Shadow. It's such a good job, and I loved it. I want more. But other than that, we do also get an amazing scene we get another amazing scene with Robotnik in the soap opera, because he's kind of like hoboed. Effectively, he's like depressed. He's sad because he's basically gone into hiding. He's kind of let himself go, and he kind of like he's playing like hand bongos on his stomach bongos, right? As Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails are like kind of in there, and he's like freaks the hell out. It's we get a lot more of the Stobotnik ship, because it's like, I don't think I have the materials. Rips the shirt. Found some. Oh, another big one. We have gotten promo images of this, but during the final sequence, as the Eclipse Cannon takes off, we get the iconic Eggman outfit and a white version for Gerald. I honestly was so happy, because I thought the Sonic 2 outfit that we got towards in the entirety of Sonic 2 was like, it is so close to being the Robotnik outfit, and I'm like so happy that they got something close. The second I saw it, I got so giddy. I got so giddy because I was like, oh, they finally got it, oh! Because whenever I watch a video game movie, I'm not there to watch it just for the story. I want to see all the little Easter eggs and references. Some of them that are like, slap you in the face, I do love. But the ones that are like, ooh, yes, yes, make me very happy. That being said, hope you guys did enjoy this. Basically, quick little update in terms of content. Obviously, as of this going up, tomorrow will be the release of The Tomb. The Tomb is the newest zombie map coming to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 in Season 2. I will be uploading a video on that on Wednesday. So, tomorrow will be the normal 16-bit winter episode that I usually do. Of Black. That'll be going up on Tuesday as opposed to Thursday, because I want to stream on Thursday. But that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next video last minutes that I make. Enjoy the rest of the tail end of this Grandmaster Nightfall. Because I basically have nothing else to talk about, and there's about like roughly a minute left, so I think even that's mostly just me getting rewards anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, see you guys next video last minutes that I make. I'll see you guys tomorrow with more 16-bit winter and EA's Black 2006.
Guardian. We've cut another head off the proverbial Hydra.
Hydra have but one head, Deborah.
Yes. Vex Hydra do. There's an old Earth mythological creature that... never mind.